one.
This is Larry Campbell.
And Teresa Williams.
You're listening to Rita Ryan.
On Local Motion at 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio in Poughkeepsie. WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Thanks for tuning in. It's 5:02. You are tuned into Local Motion on 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio in Poughkeepsie. It's a very rainy Wednesday afternoon turning into evening here, and I appreciate you tuning into Local Motion. This show is all about music of the Hudson Valley, those musicians that live here, that come to perform in our venues, as well as those coming to our recording studios. And if you're just tuning in, I've got a very special interview coming up, probably about 10-15 minutes, with Reeves Gabrels, and I'm so excited to have him on the airwaves with us here. He's the current guitarist for The Cure, and also a longtime Bowie guitarist. He was with him for 12 years. Let me just tell you about the music we just heard, some great rock and roll to start off Local Motion here. We just heard Scott Sherrard and the Brickyard Band with the song Love Like Kerosene off his self-titled release, which came out, I believe it was last year or the year before. Just saw Scott this past weekend at the Falcon. Yeah, I believe it was Friday night right after Thanksgiving, and what a great show he put on. If you ever get a chance to see Scott Sherrard, do yourselves a favor. He's a rock and roller. He is Greg Allman's guitar player. So he tours with Greg Allman. He's right arm guy, really. So check out Scott Sherrard and the Brickyard Band. Scott also has a website as well as Facebook music page, and it's scottsherrard.com. Getting us started, some holiday music since 'tis the season. Professor Louie and the Chromatics off their CD, Holiday Time. We heard a nice instrumental from them, White Christmas. Instrumental, I love it. And with a little bit of Louis twist on there. Louis playing. Their band is awesome. It's comprised of Miss Marie, of course, and John Platania on guitar, and Gary Burke is their drummer. It's a really great band. They're playing locally in our area up at the Linda in Albany on Saturday the 12th. They're going to have a great show up there. That's Professor Louis and the Chromatics. And they're also going to be in Woodstock on December 29th at the Bearsville Theater. So check out ProfessorLouis.com. Also on Facebook, and it's great local music, great band. He's been around for a really, really long time. And as I said, you are tuned into Local Motion here. It's 5:04. It's Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday. And we're going to just play some more music. Reeves should be calling in about 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll get an interview going with him. I have his latest release, his solo release with Reeves Gabrels and the Imaginary Friends. So we're going to play a tune off of that. But right now, we're going to start this off with Carl Allwire, who is a friend of mine, has been for about 20 years, and incredibly talented guitar player as well as bass player. He plays with lots of great people, currently with Albert Cummings, and he also hosts a weekly open mic at the China Rose every Tuesday night. And this is one of my favorites that he does. It's an instrumental off his. So take a listen to Carl Allwire here on 91.3 WVKR Independent Radio.
Hey, this is John Medeski, and you're listening to Rita Ryan, Local Motion on 91.3 WVKR, independent radio in Poughkeepsie.
It happened overnight, coming up the river, Brooklyn was in sight. He got a second chance to finally get it right. It was back in the 90s, he dropped out of art school for a government job. To play by the rules, he took a cue from the old folks, they always paid their union dues. I watched the transformation at the familiar haunts, the bookstore and the cafe and the record shop. He got the whole weekend to do just as he wants. He's hanging at the warehouse, the psychedelic rock. After I was DJ at the the pub of the block, it was the corner bar for the workers who made clocks in the neighborhood long ago. The postman is a hipster after 9 to 5. The postman is a hipster, it suits him fine. The postman is a hipster part of the time. He's pulling up his sleeves so you can't see his tats. He hasn't shaven in a week and a half. He got some grandpa glasses, but he ain't looking back no more. He's starting to go gray, but he got a bit of time. Like Anderson Cooper, the chicks dig him fine. He's got some extra weight, but he's aging like organic wine. The postman is a hipster after 9 to 5. The postman is a hipster, it suits him fine. Well, the postman is a hipster part of the time. They can't believe it's him, working for the man. What shape you must be in, insurance and a pension, you call that suffering? He used to smile on the job, was friendly and serene, but he been kinda snide since he got them skinny jeans. He feels so conformist, but the trust fund ran out long ago. The postman is a hipster after 9 to 5. The postman is a hipster, it suits him fine. The postman is a hipster part of the time.
91.3 WVKR Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wednesday evening, 5:11. I am so psyched. We've got Reeves Gabrels on the phone, and I'm going to play a tune from his solo release here with his Imaginary Friends. I love the title of this. Let's play a 3-minute track from Reeves, and then we're going to get him on the phone, and we're going to talk about him. And I'm just so thrilled that he's on the phone. So hold on, folks. Let's take a listen to Reeves. I thank you so much for tuning in. You are tuned in to Rita Ryan, 91.3 WVKR Local Motion.
Coming in strong.
91.3 WVKR, independent radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. You are tuned into Local Motion, and I am going to try to get Reeves on the phone here. Reeves?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, yay! We did it! Yay! Kind of a new...
I heard there was a little blast of white noise that wasn't me, but...
Okay, well, we got you. It's kind of a new keyboard here, so I'm just, still getting used to it. Last time I disconnected somebody. That's why I always say, please call me right back if I disconnect you. Thank you for calling in and for your time here with us today. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. It's, live radio is, don't get to do it as much anymore.
Yeah, well, a lot of it isn't live anymore. So, this is kind of a cool little thing we got going on here. So let me just give you a quick introduction in case folks are just turning in. It is 5:15. You're tuned into 91.3 WVKR, Local Motion here with Rita Ryan. And I am so honored, so thrilled, and so happy to have Reeves Gabrels on the phone here. Let me just tell you a little bit. He's born in New York State, Staten Island, and he is a guitarist, songwriter, composer, and music producer. He's a member of the British band The Cure since 2012. Gabrels is known as well for his longtime partnership with David Bowie, from whom he worked from 1987 to 1999. Gabrels developed his own wide-ranging creative identity by performing, writing, and recording independently and in collaborations with musicians worldwide. He has lived in New York, Boston, London, Los Angeles, and since 2006 has been based in Nashville, Tennessee. As a guitarist, Reeves is recognized for his virtuosity and versatility, able to explore sonic extremes with a great adaptive intuition for what each song needs most. He has also been characterized as one of the most daring rock guitar improvisers. I welcome you to the show, Reeves Gabrels. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We met this weekend.
That's all very flattering.
Oh, well, it's all true, though. Hey, I got to tell you something before I forget. I posted, this interview on Facebook, and someone took my post and posted it into this other group, and somebody responded that they went to high school with you in Monticello, and that they knew that you were a talent back in high school. So, hey. Social media.
Funny.
It is.
High school is always high school is high school, but I never considered myself a natural for, playing guitar, and actually in high school I was more, I went from high school in Monticello to Parsons School of Design, because I thought that was, the wisdom of a 17-year-old. I thought that was more practical than going to music school.
Yeah.
And of course, all I did when I was in art school was play guitar.
So let's step it back. You're from Staten Island.
Yeah, and then when I was after my first year of high school on Staten Island, my father was a Georgia farm boy, so he wanted to move to some place where there was more land, so we bought 25 acres and a mobile home, and put a mobile home on 25 acres.
Beautiful. I love it.
To Bethel, about a mile and a half from the site of the original Woodstock Festival, and we moved up there in, I think, 1971 or late 70.
Wow, very cool. But you missed the whole Woodstock thing. You were probably a little too young for that.
Yeah, I remember actually when the Woodstock Festival happened. I had gone to Mystic Seaport with my parents on a weekend in August, and we were driving back, and we got stuck in traffic for about 4 hours. And my parents had the radio on, and they were broadcasting the news of the Woodstock Festival. So I was kind of it was sort of omnipresent, and I was a little too young for the 60s, but and even the early 70s, what was going on, but it was just always around, Right,
you were very well aware of it.
Yeah.
So
I got in trouble for playing the fish cheer in the back of the room on my cassette recorder in Catholic school in eighth grade.
Oh gosh, you're another Catholic school survivor. So am I, my friend. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the "Give me an F," and I had a little mono cassette recorder, and I had the 3 or 2 cassette package of the Woodstock soundtrack.
Yeah.
And on a break, on a lunch break, I just turned it up and was playing it in the back of the room, and I got in trouble.
You got in big trouble for that one. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. So you started playing guitar, from what I understand, at the age of 13.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And your dad bought you the guitar?
Yeah, he thought I was too serious about my schoolwork, and really what it was I didn't think school wasn't really that much trouble. I just wanted to get it out of the way every day when I came home, so I didn't have to think about anything and anything school-wise. So I would come home, spend an hour or a half hour and do all my homework, and then I would draw, and I would listen to New York radio, to WNEW-FM and what was WPLJ at the time.
I remember that.
And open format rock radio, and I would just draw, and, I can remember hearing Nantucket Sleigh Ride when they brought it into the studio, and I guess it was a test pressing, and Scott Muni played it.
Wow.
And it was like, you thought they had brought him the Dead Sea Scrolls,
right,
something.
Right.
It was like a religious thing. And then years later with Tin Machine, he interviewed us on the air, and I could have quit then.
Right. That was a dream come true. That's very cool. Was your first guitar an electric guitar or acoustic?
It was an acoustic, and I had a yard sale, and I sold a bunch of my toys, and from being a kid, and I saved up. I think I collected about $70, and I bought a Harmony acoustic and a cassette machine.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And and I started taking lessons. Well, that was after my father talked me into taking guitar lessons, and I borrowed a neighbor's guitar to take lessons on, and he had a friend that hung out at the local, his local bar, and
Turk Van
who was
Lake?
a guitar player. Yes, Turk Van Lake, and the story was that Turk had played with Frank Sinatra and Paul Anka and Tommy Dorsey and all of these guys, and no one ever really knew whether they could believe him or not. And he kind of looked like Secret Squirrel's companion. He had a beret. I forget the name of the character, but I don't know if he was a weasel or a ferret or whatever, but he was a funny guy. But it turned out that, years later when he passed away, they listed all of his credits, and I actually heard a thing on Boston radio. It was Tommy Dorsey live behind the Iron Curtain, and, as jazz DJs used to do, they mentioned all the players on the recording, and I was sitting there listening to WBOR in Boston, I think it was, and they said, and that was Turk Van Lake on guitar.
Wow.
And
so then you knew it was real.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. So after high school, you went to the city to go to Parsons School of Design because on a full scholarship, nonetheless.
Well, I had a Regents scholarship, and which is funny because when I took the Regents scholarship, my advisor, my student advisor said, "Well, you might not do that well in the maths, but you're going to pick up all the art stuff that no one else will get." and I didn't really believe him, and I remember going out and getting really stoned in a van on the break. And then, a couple months later, they announced it over the school PA who got scholarships, and I got scholarships. I got a scholarship, and then my father had passed away in the interim, so I got a full scholarship because it was based on financial need and blah, blah, blah. And so between that and the basic educational opportunity grant and a couple other things, I was able to go to college. But those things I don't think even exist anymore, do they?
I don't know that they do. Not as readily as they did back then when we were younger. Yeah, no, definitely not. And then you met John Schofield somewhere along the way, right about then.
Well, when I was I'd switched from Parsons to School of Visual Arts. I had seen John play with George Duke and Billy Cobham, and I was just looking to, get a little better at playing guitar, and in the back page of the Village Voice he was advertising for lessons for $20 an hour.
Unbelievable.
And so I went and took lessons from him, and then he talked me into going to Berkeley and Boston. And also in the meantime, while I was at Parsons, at School of Visual Arts, I had I took a songwriting class as a English elective, and it turned out that the guy that was teaching the class was a fellow named Lou Stallman, who co-wrote "It's Gonna Take a Miracle" that LaBelle did, and wrote some of. I can't remember. It wasn't Smokey Robinson's hits, but he wrote stuff for Perry Como. He was one of the Brill Building guys, and he listened to. He used to give us these assignments where you'd have to write a song. And he'd give you a lyrical hook, and you'd have to write a song, a lyric hook, and you'd have to come in with a thing. And I was too shy to sing and play guitar in class, so I would record stuff on. A friend of mine had a 4-track recorder, so I would just do these little productions and bring them in. And one day he said, "Is that you playing guitar in that?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You want to cut your classes and make some money?"
Wow.
And so I got a taste of like actually, doing studio work, and then I started taking lessons from Sco, and then it became kind of obvious that it was time to change horses.
Yeah. Did he tell you to stop listening to guitarists?
Yeah, he told me to stop listening to guitar players, and he said, I guess I was 20, and he said, you know all the guitar tricks. He said, just listen to keyboard players for harmony and horn players for melody. Uh-huh. And I still do that. I still look at it that way.
Wow.
You got to when you came the other night to see me play with Club Delph, you kind of got a little bit of that side of things.
Right. And I loved it that Medeski was there too, which of course he has a tie-in with John Scofield because Scofield's played numerous times with Medeski, Martin, and Wood.
Well, apparently Scofield said to. I think it was to Warren Haynes. He said, because when I'm in London, it seems like I'm in London every year around July, and that's when Government Mule comes through. And the last 3 years, I think it is, I've sat in with them, and we were talking about it, and he said, he mentioned to Scofield, actually, I think it might have been his. Warren's guitar tech, Brian Farmer, mentioned it to Scofield, and Scofield said, tell Reeves I learned more from him
really?
than he learned from me.
Wow.
Which there is no way in hell that is true.
But you'll take that's a really nice... Yeah. Take that accolade and go with it, Reeves. That's a good one. That's a good one.
It's not true. Trust me, it is absolutely not true.
Well, I've heard you obviously play on songs before, but seeing you perform the other night live was so cool because I don't know. There's nothing like seeing a band live to me. Well, especially a band like Club Delph that is really all. I mean, it's so improvisational, and even in the context of that's always been a little bit of a, depending on who I'm playing with, or whether it's my thing or, you want to supply what people want from you, but you also want to serve the music and the fact that I think of myself more of as more of an improviser, and when you're playing rock music, or especially rock music that veers towards the pop side, like some of the Bowie stuff did, even if it was songs that I wrote with him, the structure is more solid and constricted. I always try to make room for improvisation in the live performances, like when I was when I was touring with David and I was the musical director, the way I tried to lay out the songs was so that myself and at that time Mike Garson was playing keyboards, that we both had room to flex. And whereas Club Delph is almost all flex. Right. Well, it kind of felt that way, because I was sitting up there and kind of everybody was just off doing their thing, but it meshed beautifully together. And it was quite an experience.
Well, it's fairly narcotic, that band. It's like the music is a drug.
Yeah, absolutely, really cool. So your career began really in earnest when you were in Boston during the Berklee school years.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's when I really, the thing I wanted, and the thing I talked to John Scofield about was what I really wanted to know was the common language. You know, I mean, the whole, you know, okay, I had played in garage, you know, with my friends in the garage, or in my case in the barn, but, you know, the fact that some people played things that they blew their breath through, you know, would just seem so alien to me.
Right.
You know, an instrument with a spit valve. You know? and I wanted to learn I wanted to find the commonality, and I wanted to know about music, not about guitar playing. You know, and not about the genres. I mean, and I wanted to find the bigger picture, and you know, Berkeley was a tough time and an excellent time. You know, as any point in your life where you're really learning every day is going to be tough and excellent.
Yeah, all at the same time. Let me just tell listeners again, in case people are just tuning in, it's Wednesday, 5:30, 91.3 WVKR, Local Motion. I'm your host, Rita Ryan, and we are speaking with Reeves Gabrels, and he's the current guitar player for The Cure. And now we're going to start talking about Bowie, because that started in 1987.
Yeah, I met him in '87, and we started working together in '88. Yeah.
In a group called Tin Machine.
Yeah, that was what it became. When we started, it was David and I did. He basically, I don't know if it was. I mean, I met him, and he didn't know I was a musician, which is probably accounts for the longevity and the fact that, you know, he didn't meet me as a musician. He met me as just another character, and he thought I was actually a fine arts painter. He didn't realize I was a musician for a long time. And then he heard a tape that I was on, and then he called me up and said, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I actually didn't believe it was him when I got the phone call, but that
funny.
was comical. But
that's funny.
You know.
Gail, we're going to talk a little about Gail Ann Dorsey. She said the same thing, that Bowie called her personally, and she was like thinking it was Candid Camera or something. It took like 5 minutes for her to get it to sink in. Yeah.
You know, but then after, you know, over time, once you hold someone's head out of the toilet while they're throwing up, you kind of get over that.
That's wonderful.
Once you catch them stealing your socks from your hotel room.
Yeah. You're way past that now. So,
then it's, you know.
Yeah. So Tin Machine was around for a couple years, 3-4 years.
Yeah. I think it actually was 80. Well, the album came out in the spring of '89, and then I think it ended in '92. So, but we were in the studio for off and on for a stretch of time before that. Yeah. It seemed like an eternity while we were doing it.
Oh, I bet. And I understand that you've written 40 songs with David Bowie.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that. It might be more. Actually, even be more than that. I don't really keep track. But between that and you know, co-producing the last. Well, we produced Tin Machine as a band, but then the last Hours and Earthling, I co-produced. So that you know, it kind of runs together.
Yeah, I bet it does. And then, of course, you know, I just love her to pieces, Gail Ann Dorsey. You guys played together.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just saw Gail not too long ago when she was coming. I was in London and she was coming through town with what's his name? Lenny
Kravitz. Right. Yeah. She was on the show here in the studio with me on November 11th, just about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And boy, did we have fun. She brought in like the music that she's played on, and we have to come back for part 2 because there was so much more that we didn't get a chance to first talk about, but also listen to. So, yeah.
Well, it's funny when you look at, you know, someone with a career like Gail's or Mike Garson's, or you know, even mine. You know, it when you really look at the thread that runs there, the thread that you know, you're basically, you know, every time you do something, you're just continuing your story, and a lot of that, you know, the musicians. People that get known as being musicians tend to get overshadowed by the personalities they play with.
Right.
And when you look at that stuff, you really begin to see, like in Gail's career, you know, or you know, Earl Slick's career, or who's another Staten Island guy who I used to sneak into high school dances when I was in grade school to see him play.
You did?
Oh yeah.
Oh, funny.
And he and I we've done some recording together, and we've got there's a project that Slick started that well, I guess we'll see the light of day eventually. It's in Balls in Slick's court, but
you recorded that locally, didn't you, in the Hudson Valley? I do believe.
Yeah, in the clubhouse.
Yeah,
and with Paul Antonell and anyway, the when you look at the arc of the musician's career, you realize that it's a rare case where someone is truly a sideman. Where you just walk in and you play the part. I mean, the input of all of these people is, I think, seriously underestimated.
Oh, absolutely. Not in my eyes, but I see what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that.
Right,
I'm saying that more for anybody who might be listening, who doesn't ever really look beyond the name on the album.
Right.
And a lot of that is really getting lost now because of the way we receive our music. There's no liner notes anymore.
No, everything's downloaded, and nobody's like touching a CD or, that's what, I just love getting music when I go to a show, and just like your CD, I'm picking it up, I'm looking at it, I see the credits, I see everything that, where it was recorded, and all of that is now a lost art. And the cover is so cool, so it is. It's to
me it was like the way other people learned baseball statistics.
Right.
I could tell you, what tracks Neil Jason played bass on.
Yeah, no, and I learned so much from CDs. I think as a DJ, I physically bring in CDs. Like, we can do it on YouTube now, and you can download off your phone and do all kinds of crazy things. But I'm old school. I have to have the CD. I want to see everything about it. I want to see who's playing, where it was recorded. It's I don't know, old school, I guess. What can I say? But anyway. Going back to Bowie. I mean,
it shouldn't be old school. It should just be school.
I know, but unfortunately, I think it is, though, Reeves. I think it is, So you were with Bowie. You were his longest guitar player, 12 years?
Apparently, yeah. and until I think the last record, I probably co-produced more stuff with him. I know I've co-written more stuff with him than anybody else. Mm-hmm. From his mouth. I mean, he was the one that told me that in 1999. And it's an interesting thing. But I think most of the musicians I admire don't really look back.
Right.
It's always about the next thing.
Mm-hmm. But
and
are you like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the nature of, don't take this wrong, but, the nature of interviews, it is largely, it can only be about what you've already done.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so, when you do interviews, you are very often having to re-examine what you've done over the last 20 years.
Right.
Whatever. So, but in answer to your question, I think for me, it's always about the next thing, and it's one of the reasons why I like playing with my trio, because there's so much, or Club Delph, and there's so much room for the music to change all the time, and though a lot of people might not realize it, but even in the context of The Cure, there's the music evolves. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As we play it,
right.
And it's so. Yeah, I'm all about tomorrow.
Right. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I don't know. I'm a firm believer in balance of everything. So tomorrow is you got here from yesterday to tomorrow. I don't know. Who am I to say?
Yeah.
But The Cure.
It is. It's the path.
Right. It is, and it is all one path, because you can't stop you can't change the past. It's what got us here right now. So, and it give us hopefully a wisdom along the way, and shapes us, and maybe we'll know better what to do tomorrow. I don't know. We're hoping. We'll see. But you met Robert Smith from The Cure at rehearsals for Bowie's 50th birthday concert.
Yeah, because I was the MD, the musical director for that. So Though we never called it that, because I always thought, if you're Tom Jones, you have an MD, but if you're David Bowie, it's more of a rock thing, so you don't really. But I did the job, and
did it well.
I had to talk to, I had to make sure everybody knew the song they were going to do, and Robert and I went back and forth. That was the days of faxes.
Wow.
It was pre-internet, and we. We went back via fax in terms of like what the chord voicings are for Quicksand, and the last thing you should do, which was the other song we did, and then we got together, and I think he was the last one in before rehearsal started, and I think we got together on like a Wednesday night that ended on a Friday.
Wow, fun.
And so whatever, I think the seeds were sown early on for that. The other one that was when for David's birthday show was going through the songs with Lou Reed.
Yeah.
Because everybody seemed to be afraid of Lou. Mm-hmm. And he was a sweetheart. He would test you. I've read a few other people saying that he when you met him, he would kind of, he would give you the Lou attitude. And then at some point, once he decided you were worthy, or you cracked him up, or you called him on something or whatever, then that all fell away, and I had a good time teaching him not Waiting for a Man. Of course, he knew that one. Queen Bitch.
Oh, really?
With this, and I had to go through the chord changes with him, and I had written them down. And I guess my D chord, when I wrote a D I had written the chord changes over the lyric sheet, and he stopped playing. Him and I are sitting in the room running the song, and he stops and he goes, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, it's a D, Lou." And he goes, "Well, it looks like an O." And then I saw him a bunch of times after that, and he did that, like, everyone's got an uncle who's like, if you ever need anything, just call me. Because I don't really sleep anymore, and just call me anytime.
Nice. Did you ever take him up on the offer?
No, I didn't, and I kind of wish I could have come up with a reason to do it.
Yeah, no doubt.
But,
what a great time.
I just really enjoyed him. That was one of, my years with David were great for the obvious reasons, but also because I got to meet a lot of my other heroes.
Yeah.
And I kind of grew up on Mott the Hoople and Lou Reed Rock and Roll Animal. So
awesome. Wow. Yeah, good stuff.
They were sort of peripheral to David's world. So, through David, I got to meet all these other people, and I met Robert.
Yeah, you met Robert through that.
Brought me here.
And speaking of tomorrow, and looking at tomorrow, The Cure, you're going on tour.
Yes.
Yeah, you're doing
we are.
17 European countries in next fall, and I see some of the shows are already sold out a year in advance. And doing 22 North American countries starting in the spring of 2016. And in New Orleans, is that your first show?
Yeah, we're starting there.
Nice.
And we've had to add in New York and L.A. We've had to add additional shows, and it's been if it's funnily enough, I seem to be the one that was the least surprised by it. But maybe because I was not in the band for the last 25 years.
Right.
I've seen them from a distance, and maybe I think it's one of the iconic bands.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And to be a member of it now is just like one of the, I've never been happier.
Yeah, you're going to have the time of your life. I mean, all these shows and all these great countries, and oh my God, I got to catch you when you're in New York or Boston or something with The Cure.
Yeah.
I'd just love to see that.
Well, and it's the thing about the music is that the best music is when it is the music that matters. Like when you can walk out and you can feel that this isn't like showbiz. This is actually a communal catharsis.
Yeah, perfect. That's great wording.
And that's what that's one of the things that's one of the real like it's kind of like an honor and a joy at the same time of being in a band like The Cure, where you feel like you're because it's even though we're playing for that many people, it's really about the edges. It's about the outsiders. It's about people that we're none of us are really fit in the quote unquote normal category.
But what fun is that anyway?
So we're kind of it's I was going to say it's underdog music, but it's really not necessarily underdog, but it's
maybe underground.
Undercat.
Okay, undercat, underdog, underground, somewhere around there. So yeah, you've got a lot of tomorrows left, and this Cure and where it's going to take you is just really, really cool. Are you guys recording or doing anything as far as that? The first rule of the Cure is there's no cure. It's like Fight Club, right?
So I always just say, wait and see.
Yeah. Maybe you'll record a live concert or something, or throw out a DVD or something on,
Oh, who knows?
While you're doing all these great shows, yeah. So, let me just one more time tell listeners we're tuned into 91.3 WVKR, Local Motion. I'm your host, Rita Ryan. I have Reeves Gabrels on the phone, and thank you so much for your time. It was so great to meet you the other night. I was telling listeners before you came on air that I was supposed to do the interview at the Falcon, but then you and Susan got stuck in so much traffic that...
it was we had 3 vehicles coming in from Boston, and we were about 5 minutes apart from each other on the highway.
Gosh.
So, we were texting. The front runner, I was in the middle. The front runner was texting back, it's, well, you're moving now, but you're going to be sitting in traffic in about 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah.
And it took what should have been like a 3 hour and 15-minute drive was a 6-hour drive. So we really got we missed what should have been sound check and everything else, but
But it was really cool because the audience got to see you do the sound check. We were all part of it, so that was really neat. So yeah, well, I hope you come back with Reeves with your trio and come back to the area sometime.
Funnily enough, the folks that own God, I'm blanking on his name now. The guy
Tony
that
Falco.
owns Falcon. He's from West Brighton on Staten Island,
yes.
And we're the same age. So we went to he went to Countess Moore while I was at Monsignor Farrell.
See that? He knows David Johansen. He plays at the Falcon too. And Earl is, of course, from Staten Island too. Yeah. Great group of rock and rollers from Staten Island.
Yeah, well, there's so many. There's Tommy Price, Sandy Gennaro, Chasm Sultan. I mean, the joke was they used to call it Rock Island.
Truly, they should be. It still is. Yeah. No, that's really cool. Now, anything else you want to tell the listeners? You got I don't know. You ever going to write a memoir or a book or?
You know what? That goes back to the earlier thing about the past. It doesn't matter what you say or write. People are going to believe what they want to believe, and I have no that's like memoirs and stories like that. These people that I've worked with are my friends, and there are things that happen between the thing that upsets me about memoirs is there's things that happen between people who are friends that should stay between the people who are friends.
Absolutely.
So I've got, and the best art has some mystery in it. Mm-hmm. So I don't have any desire to. Mm-hmm. It's been discussed and offered, and I have no desire.
Mm-hmm. I respect that decision. I think it's a good one. I think it's a very personal one. And
the only other problem with that is other people will rewrite the past around you. Right. But
But let them say what they want.
I almost used a 4-letter word.
Careful.
followed by that.
Right. Exactly. So listen, you tell people how to stay in touch with you. You have a website. You've got a great solo release.
And actually, the best way to keep current on what's going on is on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I have a musician page and a personal page, and even if the personal page is full up, but you can always. I do public posts all the time on there. That and Instagram Yeah, I think, and also Twitter.
Yeah. And your solo release, people can buy it from you on the website?
They can get that on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Bandcamp's a good place.
Yeah.
And at shows, we're doing one last show for this year with my trio with the Imaginary Friends in Nashville.
Great.
On the 12th of December.
Yeah.
And I think yeah, that's pretty much. While I'm in Nashville, I'm actually going to do a couple of other gigs with friends around town, but it's all my friend Jamie Rubin, who owns a place called the Family Wash, which is a club down there.
I see you posted a show that you're doing down there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I play with. We have a thing called Carpetbaggers, since everyone in there in the band came down from the north to Nashville, so we are kind of the Carpetbaggers. And we're doing a couple of gigs, and yeah, Jamie and I go way, way back. Jamie's a great singer and songwriter, and actually there's a couple of songs. The single that's available only on Bandcamp called Try is a song that I wrote with Jamie and Dave Hull, who played with the Joe Perry Project, and he's been the bass player in Aerosmith off and on when Tom Hamilton was out sick a few times. He and I had a band together with Jamie called Modern Farmer back in the 90s, and so we, so that's an old, long-standing friendship with Jamie, and so I do Carpetbaggers with him, but he's kind of an overlooked songwriter. So every time I do a record, I make sure there's a song called Won't Fall In on the Imaginary Friends record that I wrote with Jamie as well. So
I like this record. Thank you so much. I got a copy of it the other night.
It was fun to hear Fledermaus, because that's sort of like I see that almost as a cartoon, like a sort of Edward Gorey cartoon.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to pick out something that you had written that was by you, and I loved that. I loved the flow of it, and so I figured Fledermaus was it today. But I just want to thank you for your time, and next time you're in the area, we'll definitely come see you, and hopefully you'll get this trio back here, because really great.
Yeah, I think Tony, I think the Falcon is going to be a place to bring the Imaginary Friends as soon as I have a window.
Yeah, you're going to be a little bit busy for 2016, I think, but maybe you'll get a little bit of time off. But it was a real pleasure meeting you the other night, and
well, likewise.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your time here today on the phone, and I hope listeners keep in touch with you. I'm so excited for you. You've got a great 2016 ahead of you, and for a man that likes to look into tomorrow, you got to have a big smile on your face right now about that. So yeah, so cool. All right, Reeves, anything else? And we're going to...
No, I'm good.
Yeah, all right. Well, you're terrific. Thank you. Hello to Susan. Thank you for your time, and we'll certainly stay in touch, and I wish you much safe travels.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, how much fun was that, listeners? 91.3 WVKR Independent Radio. That was Reeves Gabrels, and he is the current guitarist for the band The Cure, going on a world tour starting in the spring. Well, world tour, I should say, North American tour as well as European tour, so half the world. And he is also the longest guitarist for David Bowie's band. He was with him for 12 years and has written and produced over 40 songs with him, so that was just a real pleasure. I'm on for about 7 more minutes. I got Dr. J in the house with Ari Groove, and he's going to be in. So right now, what am I spinning? I'm going to do Upstate Rubdown. This is a local band. They just came out with this release this year. Let's put some music on here. Thanks for tuning in. 91.3 VKR.
My ball rolling, and I know it's gonna roll by your way. in the past, it won't last. It's not gonna stay the same, 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 the same.
91.3 WVKR Independent Radio. And that was Upstate Rubdown, and that was off their release titled A Remedy with the song Ball Rolling. It's almost time for me to get off the airwaves. The hour always goes so quick. I thank Reeves Gabrels so much for his time on the phone with me, and please check out Reeves's website as well as Facebook music page. He's going to have a very exciting 2016. Want to let you know about some musical events in the Hudson Valley. Open mics. Let's talk about those. Tonight at the Town Crier, 7 p.m., free open mic. Also, third Wednesday at the Falcon Underground, Blues Jam with Petey Hop, and the first Wednesday at the Hyde Park Brewery. On Wednesday, Spruce Hill Inn in Putnam Valley, 8 o'clock. Tomorrow, Thursday, there's an open mic at La Puerta Azul. There's also an open mic at Infinity Music Hall in Norfolk, Connecticut, and at Taste Buds up in Red Hook. And on the first Thursday of the month at Palea Winery in Highland Mills at 7 p.m. Open mic Saturday, every fourth Saturday, jamming with the Progressions at Mulligan's Irish House in Poughkeepsie. Sundays, Virgo's Sippin' Soul in Beacon from 5 to 9, hosted by Rob Daniels. And on Tuesday, China Rose Rhinecliff at 9 p.m., hosted by Carl Allwire, who you heard on the show earlier today. And there's also an open mic at the Emerson Resort and Spa at Wood Notes Grill on Route 28 in Mount Tremper, hosted by Ben Rounds. Those are open mics. Let me tell you about musical events happening in the area. Levon Helm Studio. Elizabeth Mitchell presents The Sounding Joy. Friday, December 18th. Amy Helm, New Year's Eve. The Wait in January. For tickets, levonhelm.com. The Falcon in Marlborough. Live at thefalcon.com. Tonight, Sophia Ribeiro, and excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that. Thursday, Fabian Almazan. Friday, Slam Allen. Saturday, Jeff Pitchell and Texas Flood. Sunday brunch with Willa McCarthy. Sunday evening, John Medeski. Jazz Stock presents Maucha Adnet and the Brazilian Trio. Saturday the 5th, Woodstock Community Center. Tickets at woodstockcommunitycenter.org. Bearsville Theater, Larry Campbell and Teresa Williams. Saturday, December 12th. A very special ticket giveaway to that show will be here next week during Local Motion. Town Crier in Beacon, towncrier.com. As mentioned, Town Crier tonight, open mic at 7. Friday, Dar Williams. Saturday, Dr. Lucky's Blue Review, Burlesque in Beacon. And Sunday, Susan Werner. BSP Kingston, Sunday, Spooky Ghost, Jerry Leonard, solo, and also free shows on Thursdays. Check out the great lineup, bspkingston.com. Also, Harmony in Woodstock and on Facebook. New World Home Cooking, Route 212, Saugerties, Friday is Blue Food. Check them out. Great group. Quinn's on Facebook and Main Street in Beacon. And Quinn's has great Monday night jazz nights as well as a great musical lineup. Bardavon UPAC, December 4th, this Friday, Celebration of Lights in Poughkeepsie. December 19th, the Hudson Valley Philharmonic, Handel's Messiah, and Joe Bonamassa, January 19th. Also, a very special event, Friday, December 11th, Lee Shaw Memorial up in Schenectady, Unitarian Universalist Society, 7 bands paying tribute to Lee Shaw, who just passed away in October. John Esposito will be there, Mike D'Amico, John Medeski, Rich Syracuse, Jeff Siegel, and tons of other folks. Going to leave you out with a quick little tidbit of Christmas music because 'tis the season, and this is by Scott Petito and Leslie Ritter. This Christmas Morning is the name of their CD, song called December Child. I look forward to being back on the airwaves here next Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Again, very special ticket giveaway will be happening at that time, and I wish you all a wonderful week. Stay tuned, Dr. J in the house, and until next time, I wish you all much peace.